As the fall 2021 anime season comes to a close here soon, finally Demon Slayer gets its start. Yes, technically started a long time ago with a single episode, but going through the whole Mugen Train recapping was a bit much. Unfortunately, I didn't watch all of the Mugen Train recap just because, again, I watched the movie, and for the 3 or 4 that I did watch, I didn't see any differences, so despite them saying new scenes and everything, I wasn't really getting anything there. So if anybody caught anything that I missed, let me know. But yeah, like I said, technically right now, today, we have finally begun the Entertainment District arc, which is new content, and I am super jazzed for the series coming back. Thankfully, also, we got a full 1-hour episode for this premiere for the new Entertainment District arc. And while the entire episode wasn't really filled with like action-packed stuff, we did get some really interesting insights and a nice cool-down period between the two arcs. On one side of the story, we have Akaza go meet Muzan, who we find out is taking residence inside of this one person's home, which seems to be some sort of rich family that has a business that they want the boy to take over. They're not blood related, so it's not as if they're acting like he's his actual child, but it does seem like he came across them and they brought him into their home and has been taking care of him. And Akaza shows up and pretty much says, he's trying to look into this blue spider lily, which I'm not sure exactly what the significance of that is going to be. My assumption is because it was kind of taking place right after the parents talked about how he has some sort of skin disease and can't leave his home, which, again, obviously a demon, that the blue spider lily might be something they're trying to put together to create some method for them to be able to be in the sunlight. But despite Akaza being happy the fact that he took out one of the Hashira, Muzan's like, I don't think that's really an incredible feat. I told you to take out the entire corpse, and so taking out one of these things is not a special feat. As Akaza is leaving, it does seem like he's obviously a little bit mad about Tanjiro. Tanjiro calling him a coward, him having to run away and flee, Tanjiro getting a hit in on him, Muzan mocking him for taking that hit from somebody that's not even a Hashira. And it does show Akaza actually destroy Tanjiro's sword, so that's apparently what happened with that whole thing. And yeah, as we later on see, Hanazuka is quite upset about this, but it was kind of brushed over, which is kind of odd. They didn't really kind of get into that whole aspect. It just seems like Tanjiro got a new sword, so it doesn't seem like there's much to, like, you have this single sword and this is your everything, because it implies that they just made him a new one because now he has a sword again, and they didn't really show Hanazuka actually bring him the new sword. He just was really mad at him for destroying it. Beyond Tanjiro's side, obviously everybody is still really upset at the loss of Kyojuro. At some point, they're training and recovering at the Butterfly Mansion, and at some point, Tanjiro ends up following a crow all the way back to Kyojuro's home, where he ends up meeting his brother, kind of wanting to discuss with him what Kyojuro had left behind, the message that he left behind. His father ends up showing up and being quite upset about him being there, calling Kyojuro a waste and that he was garbage and that he failed and he shouldn't fail. And what was interesting in this whole kind of exchange is eventually the father notes Tanjiro's earrings and quickly jumps onto him as being part of a sun-breathing lineage. Like, he knows what those are, and that's a symbol for the sun breathing. And this kind of just opens up a huge can of worms as he gets into this book that he read, how it talked about the sun breathing technique, how every single breathing technique is an imitation of sun breathing. Like, sun breathing was the first technique, and everything was made to mimic that. And it's thus implying that it might not be his father, but technically somewhere down the line in Tanjiro's lineage, if not his father, the sun-breathing technique was created and everything was kind of birthed off of that. Which Tanjiro kind of knows the fact that, look, we have, all these records showing that our family have always been coal sellers. So it doesn't make any sense. But Kyojuro's father's like, you're not a weakling, you shouldn't be a weakling, and this is obviously compounding on Tanjiro's feeling of weakness, that he failed to protect Kyojuro and allowed him to die, and he can't accept that praise that he's a sun breather because he failed. He's weak. And after a little fight between the two of them, the brother's like, wait, don't fight him. He's a Hashira. He was a Hashira. Eventually, pretty much knock each other out by headbutting him. And you have this little conversation between the brother and Tanjiro as he gives him the message that his brother left behind and looks at this book that his father was talking about, which is completely shredded up. Like, because he's thinking that his father probably shredded it. So despite us having this little bit of nugget of information that we were looking for about the father, not yet. You have it, but not yet. So I have to wait until later when the brother claims that he's going to look into seeing if he can find it or recover it or whatever, and then get back to Tanjiro. So he's looking into that for him. But eventually he goes and gives the message to the father that, you know, he wants you to take care. Which, yes, we have the big, rough father that cries is always a rough thing to watch. But oh yeah, when Tanjiro was leaving, the brother did technically give him the hilt of Kyojiro's, the hilt guard, and said that to take this because it'll protect you. And it's like, okay, yeah. How long until we have some point in which somebody stabs Tanjiro and, oh yeah, by the way, it was in his pocket and he survives. And yes, eventually we get the introduction of Tengen. Tengen arrives at the Butterfly Mansion and he is taking away Aoi and Naho. And as he's taken away, Tanjiro is just coming in, and so he's a little upset by this. They're calling out to Kanao, and of course Kanao is the one that always has problems making her own decisions, so she's fighting with herself internally as what to do, and eventually she follows her heart and grabs and stops them. But Tengen is specifically saying, you know, this is orders from the Demon Corps. We're supposed to, I'm gathering these girls in order for this one job, which, as you can tell based on it called a Entertainment District arc, he's probably needing females for this Entertainment District arc to infiltrate or something. And they mention the fact that Naho is technically not a part of the Demon Corps, so he just chucks her. But that's when Tanjiro, along with everybody else, kind of jumps in and said, look, we'll go instead. We'll go in her place. We'll work with you on whatever project he has. So that cuts to pretty much the end of the episode. So we're basically following Tengen, who is one of the Hashiras, as they have some sort of job at the Entertainment District arc, and they need them, which, based on the OP they play at the very end, I'm guessing is going to have them disguising themselves as female. The entire opening segment, which, by the way, amazing, Aimer, phenomenal music. Zenitsu is wearing his hair like pigtails, so I'm not looking forward to that. I'm guessing that's going to be a thing for most this entire arc. But yeah, I would argue that this is not a good first episode for a new arc, which again, obviously it's not technically supposed to be a first episode for a season, but wasn't really too much hype here. I did getting a little bit of a tease as to the whole sun breathing technique. Seeing the characters again is of course going to be awesome. Not a very action-packed episode to really get you pumped up for the season, but hopefully coming in the next episode we can start picking things up and really start diving into this arc. This is supposed to be an 11 episode arc, so we still have another, 10 episodes to work with here, but yeah, solid intro, I guess, overall. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the episode. I don't know what we're gonna call it. Season 2, episode 1, Season 2, episode 2, technically. Entertainment District arc, episode 1, episode 28, I don't know. We'll figure out how we're gonna enumerate this episode impressions, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like down below, comment, let me know what's the episode, subscribe if you haven't already, share this video if you can, support us on Patreon if you can. Definitely appreciate everybody that does, and y'all take care.